This is GARIS Essays, that is 2-3 page opinion pieces on topics such as species dominance, the global state, politics, femtotech, religion, society and education, written by and read aloud by Prof. Dr. Hugo GARIS. This is essay number 37, entitled Plancktech, by Prof. Dr. Hugo GARIS. Email profhugodegaris@yahoo.com. Website profhugodegaris.wordpress.com. Abstract. Plancktech is technology, that is computing and engineering, at the Planck scale, that is 10 to power minus 35 of a meter, the scale of strings and membranes in M theory. This essay gives some tentative ideas on how such a technology might be implemented. It uses closed-loop graviton strings that can open and close on the surfaces of brains, enabling them to be linked into a chain to form 1D, 2D and 3D, that's three-dimensional, Planck scale engineered structures. X-Tex. One of my research interests is what I call X, that's the letter, X-Tex. That is, trying to dream up ideas on how a technology could be implemented at the X scale, where X could be femto, atto, zepto, yocto, etc. That is, at the 10 to the minus 15 of a meter, 10 to the minus 18 of a meter, 10 to the minus 21 of a meter, 10 to the minus 24 of a meter, etc. In earlier essays in the Humanity Plus magazine, I dreamt up ways to compute at the femto and atto scales. In this essay, I will concentrate on the engineering side, that is how to build things, and at the Planck scale, which is at the smallest scale that mankind has even conceived of, namely 10 to the minus 35 of a meter, the scale of strings and membranes in 11-dimensional M theory. Plancktech. The basic idea I had to build structures at the Planck scale is so simple that I could explain it to a 4-year-old. Take 2 thin strips of paper and glue the 2 ends of one strip together to form a loop. Then insert the second strip into the hole of the first loop and glue its 2 loose ends together to form a chain of 2 loops or links. If you can do this once, you can do it repeatedly, forming a 1D chain of many links, like the heavy metal anchor chain of a large ship. By linking 4 loops into a single loop at the north-east, south-west positions, one could start to form a 2D, two-dimensional structure, rather like the chainmail armour of meshed interlinked metal rings used to protect the medieval knights from enemy swords. By linking 6 loops into a single loop at the positions north-east, south-west, up and down, one could start to form a 3D structure, rather like the bricks in an Egyptian pyramid. The next step was to find some physical entity that might correspond to a link at the Planck scale. I was watching an old Nova video on string theory hosted by Brian Greene, author of the book The Elegant Universe, which gave me the idea. In the video, Greene stated that gravitons are closed, looped strings, whereas other strings are open, having their 2 ends attached to membrane surfaces in 11-dimensional hyperspace, which is characteristic of M theory. Thus most strings are stuck on the brain, whereas gravitons can roam freely from the brains. That gave me a way to create my linked Planck scale structures. This is how it might be done, explained in a step-by-step fashion. Brains and gravitons. Now you need to see figures, so I'm going to have to improvise a bit. Well, figure 1 shows a brain and 2 free, unattached gravitons, the 2 closed loop strings. Figure 2 shows the 2 gravitons attached to the brain, each at a single point. Figure 3 shows 2 gravitons, A and B, splitting, so that each now has 2 attachment points, A1, A2, B1, B2 on the brain. Physically, this may mean that the gravitons are converted into some other kind of string, that is, a different kind of particle, but for the purposes of illustration I will continue to call them gravitons. Figure 4 shows attachment point B1 of graviton B moving under the arch of graviton A. Figure 5 shows the two attachment points of graviton B merging to become one point, so that graviton B is now looped around the arch of graviton A. Figure 6 shows graviton B detaching from the brain, but still linked around the arch of graviton A. Figure 7 shows the two attachment points of graviton A merging to become one point on the brain. Figure 8 shows graviton A detaching from the brain, so that there is now a two-linked chain of gravitons free from the brain. The brain has served as the catalyst to link the two gravitons. One can readily see how 1D, 2D and 3D structures of linked gravitons could be formed using the above mechanism. We have here the conceptual beginnings of a Plancktech, perhaps a Planck scale equivalent of molecular biology's DNA and ribosomes could be used to program the formation of 3D Plancktech structures. Googlects. In earlier essays to Humanity Plus magazine, I wrote about my idea of SIPI, that's S-I-P-I, search for infra, that means within, infra-particle intelligence. That is, the idea that our 21st century nanotech-based artilects, massively intelligent artificial intellects, would quickly realize that if they base themselves on a femtotech using the properties of quarks and gluons to build structures and compute with, then they would outperform a nano-based artilect by a factor of 1 trillion, given the trillion cubed greater density of components and the trillion-fold greater inter-component signaling speed. Similar logic well, if you go from nano to femto, that's 1,000,000 times smaller. So the speed up should be 1,000,000 times, not 1,000,000,000 times. There's an error there. Similar logic extended all the way down to the Planck scale leads one to suggest the existence of creatures based on the Planck scale whose performance would be more than a Google, that's 10 to the power 100. Ad-libbing here. We've all heard of the company Google we use for their search engine. They wanted to label their company as Google with a mathematical number, in other words 10 to the power 100, but they got the spelling wrong. I mean, yeah, one of them's a Russian, so they spelled it G-O-G-L-E, but the actual spelling in math is G-O-O-G-O-L, Google. So more than a Google, 10 to the power 100 times superior to our pathetic attempts at nanotech. These creatures are probably billions of years older than we are, since their suns may have formed several billions of years before ours, which is only a third of the age of our universe. These Googlects would be undetectable to us and so hugely in advance of us that they probably totally ignore us in our massive stupidity, which may answer the Fermi paradox. If intelligent life is commonplace in the universe, why does humanity not have any evidence of its presence? To M theorists. If you're an M theorist, perhaps you might care to criticize the above ideas, or to flesh them out in M theory math, which I'm in the process of teaching myself, but have not yet mastered. I'm still wading through the swamp of the heavy math and math physics needed. For example, Lie theory, topology, manifold theory, quantum field theory, particle physics, etc. That's it. So, cheers. Prof. Dr. Hugo de GARIS. Email profhugodegaris@yahoo.com. Website profhugodegaris.wordpress.com. YouTube channel name Hugo de GARIS. Ciao.